This video is all about introduction to sequence as a function. Now let's say find the end term of this sequence. Now for us to find the end term of this sequence, we need to check to see the pattern of the sequence to know what we need to examine the sequence to us to know its pattern. Now to know whether it is an arithmetic progression or a geometric progression. So now for us to do that, we have 2, 5, 8, 11 as a sequence. Now for us to be able to do that, we look at the difference between this and this. So now the difference between 5 and 2, which is the second term minus the first term, is what? 3. Now let's also look at the difference between this and this. So you have 8 minus 3 minus 5, sorry, is equal to what? 3. Now let's look at the difference between 11 and 8. So 11 and 8 is 3. So we have a common difference. Now that means the sequence, the pattern of the sequence is just adding plus 3, adding plus 3 to the previous. So the pattern is just adding plus 3 to the previous term, then you get the next term. Adding plus 3 to the previous one, you get the next one. So if you add plus 3 to 2, you have 5. You add plus 3 to 5, you have 8. Plus 3 to 8, you have 11. So that is it. Now, so now implies that we're going to use the general arithmetic progression formula, which is the end term is equal to a plus bracket open n minus 1 times what? The common difference. Now we have the first term, which is a, is equal to 2. The common difference which we got is plus 3. So that means you have a is 2 plus n minus 1 times 3. So if we open up this bracket, you have 2 plus 3n minus 3. So this will give us 3n minus 1. So that means the n term is equal to 3n minus 1. So this is said to be the function. What we're doing, the video is all about sequence as a function. So this is a function of this sequence. This is a function that defines the pattern of this sequence. Now let's verify this function we got. So now we've got t in the n term equal to 3n minus 1. This is what we got. Now let's delete the whole of this. Now let's now verify the n term, the n equal to 1, which is the first one. The first one is 2. So t subscript 1 will now be 3 times 1 minus 1. So which will be 3 minus 1. This is 2. So let's look at the second term, which is t subscript 2. It's 3 times 2 minus 1. 3 times 2 is 6 minus 1. It's what? 5. So the second term is 5. Now let's look at the third term. Let's look at the third term. N is equal to 3. T subscript 3 is equal to 3. times 3 minus 1, which is 9 minus 1, which is 8. Now n equal to 4, t subscript 4 will be equal to 3 times 4 minus 1, so which is 12 minus 1, which is 11. Now let's look at the fifth term. T subscript 5 is equal to 3 times 5 minus 1, which is what? 15 minus 1. This will give us what? 14. So now but we stopped at 11 because at 11 that is where you verify what you're doing. Now at 14, if you add plus 3 to 11, you have 14. So that is the way to also verify this. So we haven't done this. So now let's go. So this is what shows that sequence is also, it can be said to be a function of series of numbers or list of numbers. Now the function shows the pattern of that number. Now let's look at this. You have right, okay, so they are asking us to write down the 6 terms, the first 6 terms of each sequence if the nth term of that sequence is 1 minus 2n. So for this, the first 6 terms, so you have the first, so the first term will be n is equal to what? 1. So we have 1 minus 2 times 1. This will give us 1 minus 2, which is equal to minus 1. Then the next one is the second term, which is 1 minus 2 times 2. 1 minus 4, which is minus 3. The third term, which is 1 minus 2 times 3, which is 1 minus 6, which is equal to minus 5. The fourth term, which is 1 minus 2 times 4, which is 1 minus 8, which is equal to minus 7. The fifth term, which is equal to 1 minus 2 times 5, which is equal to 1 minus 10, which is equal to minus 9. So now the sixth one, let me just delete here. Now the sixth one, so the sixth one, which is 1 minus 2 times 6, 1 minus 12, which is equal to what? Minus 11. So this is the sequence for this particular term. So the sequence is minus 1, minus 3, minus 5, minus 7, minus 9, minus 11. Oh, that is it. So now let's look at the next one, the next question. Let's look at the next question. So the next question is the n term equal to minus 2 times 10 to the raised to the power n. Now the first term is equal to what? Minus 2 raised to the power 1 is equal to minus 2. The second term is equal to minus 2 raised to the power 2 is equal to 4. The second one, the third term is minus 2 raised to the power 3, which is minus 8. The fourth term is minus 2 raised to the power 4, which is equal to what? 16. And now the next one, the fifth term is minus 2 raised to the power 5, which is equal to minus 32. Then the sixth term, which is the last one, minus 2 raised to power 6 is equal to 64. Now, if you check the odd numbers as negative, while the even numbers are positive. So that is it. So now, let's now go to the next example of sequence as a function. So now, we're given a sequence which is what, 5, 1, minus 3. So now let's say the first term, which is 5, the second term, this one, the third term is minus 3. Now in the second term minus the first term is equal to 1 minus 5 is equal to minus 4. So the third term minus the second term will be equal to minus 3 minus 1, which is minus 4. So if you look at it, this has a common difference of minus 4. So it is an arithmetic progression, so we're going to use the general formula, which is equal to a plus bracket open n minus 1 times t. So that means we know the first term is 5, which is this. The common difference, which is d, is equal to minus 4. Now let's delete this. So let's use the formula for arithmetic progression since it has a common difference. Now when I have a plus bracket open n minus 1 times t, and that equals a is equal to 5 plus n minus 1 times minus 4. So to open up this bracket, we have 5. Now minus 4 times n will give you minus 4n. Minus 1 times minus 4 will give you plus 4. So this plus x will give you 9 minus what, 4n. Now we've gotten the function of that sequence, which is the n term, which is the formula. So which is the formula of the first of the nth term. So now let's look for the 30th term. So you have gotten this, let me just write it down here. The nth term is equal to 9 minus 4n. So let's delete this. Let's delete this. So that means the 30th term is t subscript 30, which will be equal to 9 minus 4 times 30, which is 9 minus 120, which is equal to minus 111. Now, the C part of the question, we're asked to find the time of the sequence which the value the numbers are minus 75 and minus 200. So which term of the sequence are minus 75? So now let's start with minus 75. Now we've got the n term to be 9 minus 4n, which is written down here. So now at which term that you have minus 75? So let's say it is n term. At n term you have minus 75. So that means 9 minus 4n is equal to minus 75. So that means that 9 minus 4n is equal to minus 75. So if you move this 9 to this other side, to the right hand side of the equation, to do that, what we're going to do is, this is plus 9, you just add minus 9 to both sides of the equation. This will cancel out this. We have minus 4n is equal to, if you add minus 75 to minus 9, you have minus 84. Now, since we have minus 84, so dividing both sides of this equation by minus 4, this minus 4 will cancel itself here. You have n to be equal to, so minus 4 cancel itself 1, minus 4 divided is minus 84 to give you 21. So that means our n is equal to 21. Now let's look at another problem where you have minus 200. We have minus 200. So we have the value to be minus 200. So now the n term is equal to 9 minus 4n. And let's assume the term where you have the nth term where you have minus 200 is equal to n. So you have, so that means that 9 minus 4n is equal to minus 200. Now if we move, want to make n the subject of formula, we need to remove this 9 here. So to remove it, we just say minus 9, or we just say we'll move this minus 9 to this other side, becomes what? Minus 9. So you have minus 4n equal to minus 200 minus 9. So that means minus 4n is equal to minus 209. Now dividing both sides by minus 4, so this 4 will divide itself. You have n on the left hand side. Now this will now give you 209 over 4. So since this expression, this is not an integer, so we're expecting to have an integer. So the nth term, supposed to be an integer. So since it's a fraction, it has a fraction, it has a decimal on it. So it now implies that minus 200 is not it's not part of this sequence. It's not part of the sequence. So since minus 200, the n term cannot give, did not give us a whole number or an integer. That means that minus 200 is not a value, is not part of this sequence. So now let's also solve some other problems pertaining to this. Now let's say, for instance, let's do some examples, some exercise. Now in this exercise we are given a function. We say the nth term, we're given the nth term of a sequence. Now is given is given, written down is given now, okay? Now the end term of a sequence is given. And now we are asked to write down the first four terms of each sequence. Now, the first one, A, the end term was 3n plus 1. So we are asked to find the first four terms. Now, for this one, we have the first term, which is 3 subscript 1 is equal to 3 times 1 plus 1, which is equal to 3 plus 1, which is 4. The second term is equal to 3 times 2 plus 1, which is 6 plus 1, which is 7. The third term is equal to 3 times 3 plus 1, which is equal to 9 plus 1, which is equal to 10. So then the fourth term is equal to 3 times 4 plus 1, which is equal to 12 plus 1, which is equal to 13. So that is for this. Now let's look at another problem. Now, so for another problem, we are given the function to be Tn equal to 2n minus 1. So that means the first term, which is t subscript 1, is 2 times 1 minus 1, which is 2 minus 1, which is not 1. The second term is 2 times 2 minus 1, which is equal to 4 minus 1, this is 3. The third term is equal to 2 times 3 minus 1 equal to 6 minus 1. This will give us 5. The fourth term is 2 times 4 minus 1, which is 8 minus 1, which is what? This is equal to 7. So this is for the B part of this question. Now let's go over to the next question. Now the next question, see, the n term is n squared. Now the first term will be 1 square, which is equal to 1. The second term is 2 square, which is equal to 4. The third term is 3 square, which is equal to 9. The fourth term is equal to 4 square, which is equal to 16. So that is it. So now let's go over to the next problem. The next one is the n term is equal to n plus 1 over 2. Now the first term will be 1 plus 1 over 2, which is equal to 2 over 2, which is 1. The second term is 2 plus 1 over 2, which is 3 over 2, which is 1 over 2. 1 over 1 over 2. So the third term is what? 3 plus 1 divided by 2, which is equal to 4 divided by 2, which is 2. And then the fourth term is 4 plus 1 divided by 2. This is 5 divided by 2, which is 2. 1 over 2. So that is it for this. Now let's look at the next one. Before we do that, let's erase this particular problem. Now, the next problem is 2, n term is 2 to the power n minus 1. So now the first term is 2 to the power 1 minus 1, which is 2 to the power 0. Anything raised to the power 0 is equal to 1. So the second term is 2 to the power 2 minus 1. So this is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So this is equal to 2. Now the third term is equal to 2 to the power 3 minus 1. This is 2 to the power 2, which is what 4. The fourth term is 2 to the power 4 minus 1, which is equal to 2 to the power 3, which is equal to 8. So that is the final answer for that particular problem. Then, so now let's look at another problem. Now let's say you have the n term to be equal to minus 1 raised to power n times n. Now the first term will now be minus 1 raised to power 1 times 1. So this will give us minus 1. So the second term is minus 1 raised to power 2 times 2. So this will give us 2. The third term is equal to minus 1 raised to power 3 times 3, which is minus 3. The fourth term is equal to minus 1 raised to power 4 times 4 is equal to what? 4. So this is it. Now let's erase this and look at another problem. Now let's look at another problem. We have the n term to be equal to, let's say it's equal to 2 times n squared minus 1. So if you see the first term, which is n is equal to 1, we have 2 to the power 2 times 1 to the power 2 minus 1. So this is equal to 2 minus 1 is equal to what? 1. Sorry. 2 minus 1 equal to 1. The next second term is 2 times 2 raised to power 2 minus 1. So this already will give us 8 minus 1. So this is what? 7. The third term is equal to 2 times 3 to the power 2 minus 1. So this is 9 times 2, 18 minus 1. So this is equal to 17. So the fourth term 2 times 4 to the power 2 minus 1. So this is 16 times 2 is 32 minus 1 is equal to 41. That is it. Now let's end it here. Thank you for watching to the end. Have a nice day.